Hey there, I keep on talking about how many things we have on our production chart, so today we're going to go over some of them and have a talk about them. First off, we've got a very full production schedule for the next couple of years. And we're going to go in reverse order on these, so we're going to talk about the ones that are closest to being ready for prime time, I suppose, first. And right now we have completed Law of the Jungle #1, Johnny Reb #1, and War Mage #1. So the first thing we need to talk about is Law of the Jungle #2. Law of the Jungle #2 is in the layout stage right now. The first script was done in a full script style. The second script is being done in the Marvel style. And the reason for that is that Law of the Jungle has a fantastic artist, and I really like her work. So I've gone ahead and given her a great deal of leeway on how the story plays out. All I did was go in and write what happens on each page in a single paragraph. I'll do the dialogue after she does the layouts. Law of the Jungle #2 is going to cover Melanie Hawker's life after her parents are, well, it's going to cover her life after the first issue, obviously. But the first issue is a game changer for her. And so #2 is going to be her dealing with the new world that she's part of. Next up, we have Johnny Reb #2 is being written. And that one needs to be written full script, so that one's taking a little while. For anybody who thinks scripts are easy to write, no, they're not. War Mage is going to be on the back burner for a little bit. But that brings us to the new slate of comics that we've got coming out starting in January. And Law of the Jungle #2 will be one of them. The first one up on the list here is Eulogy #1. Now, Eulogy is the story of Carol Adams, and you've seen her mentioned in a couple of places, either on the website or in the comics themselves. And Eulogy starts at Carol Adams' funeral. Carol Adams is dead. And no, we're not going to be bringing her back, but Eulogy is going to be telling the story of her life in flashbacks and in memories of people that are being interviewed about a Carol Adams biography. And Carol Adams started her career in the 1930s and worked her way through the entire history of No Earth from the 1930s to the modern day. And her powers caused her to age slower, but she eventually died of cancer. But during her career, she first started out in World War II as Major Bombshell. After World War II, she was known as Atomic Bombshell. During the 1950s and 60s, she was known as American Bombshell. And then she was just known as Bombshell. So she's had costume changes and name changes that reflect periods of comic book history. And there's a lot of stories to tell about Carol that are going to have deep impacts on the No Earth universe. And we have an excellent artist for that, Ube Gabriel. He's out of Nigeria, and he is the same artist that did Johnny Reb. He works traditionally, and I like the way that his art turns out. It's got a storyboard style to it. The writer on that one is Bill Colum, and he's getting an assist from PC off of the editorial board. But that one will definitely be ready by January. It's in the layout stages right now and some minor script rewrites. And if you think that script rewrites are an odd thing, no, we do script rewrites all the time because we want our products to be as polished as possible. So the next one up is the Scarlet Avenger. Now, the Scarlet Avenger is a public domain character that I've had a liking for a while. And I'm the writer on this one, and Chris V from over on Comic Fury is the artist. He's got a nice style. It's slightly cartoonish. It's a digital style, but he can go very dark and very noir when it needs to, and that's a good thing because the Scarlet Avenger needs that. So the Scarlet Avenger is, the original one was a costume crime fighter. He fought crime in a suit and a cape with a mask, and we've kept that style. And the only thing that we've really changed, we've kept the same origin, we've kept a lot of the same gadgets and powers. The only thing we've really changed is we've made him an anti-terrorist crusader instead of an anti-crime crusader. But in a lot of ways, he had something very unique in that he had a group of operatives. And these operatives were people placed in various businesses and crime syndicates and police departments and such. And we've kept that because the idea that he doesn't do this alone is very important. The idea that he has formed a team. Now, part of his team is formed by coercion. Part of it is formed by turning people into double and triple agents. So it's a unique concept, and we're going to run with it. That one should be ready by January as well. The next one up is Liberated #1. And Katie Cunningham is the writer on that. This one is our first book to take place exclusively in another time frame. All of our books up until now have been set in the modern time frame, wholly or at least partially. War Mage is partially set in Atlantis, but Liberated is set in the end times. If you're not familiar with that, take a look at the timeline. I'll include a link in the description. But Jason McCormick is doing the artwork on that, and Jason has a clean, crisp style. He just did concept art for Eulogy #1, and I had done concept art for Major Bombshell, and as soon as I saw his concept art, nope. I switched my Major Bombshell costume to American Bombshell, and we're going with his design for Major Bombshell. Like most of our artists, he needs a little practice, but that's what we're here for. His line work is very good. His coloring is good, and I wish there was some way to link pictures in the, or to put pictures in the description, but if you'll take a look at the website, or if you follow us on Twitter or Facebook, we're posting these pictures. I am hoping that Liberated #1 will be ready for our January push as well. Next, we have MSD Omega #1. Now, this is another one that I wrote the script for a while back. John McCurdy out of Dublin is the artist on this. John is an extremely talented artist. We had been wanting to use him for a while. In fact, we first talked to him about a book that the writing is on hiatus right now called John Doe. And I loved his very sketchy, very noir style. And what he did for MSD Omega, when we switched him over to MSD Omega, is just amazing to me. He has developed a black and white, almost manga style, but it's still Western. And it's a grayscale, and I'm really impressed with it. In fact, at first I didn't think I wanted an art style that looked quite this serious, but it actually sets off the humor in the book quite well. The book itself is a buddy cop story set in a paramilitary black ops unit for a corporation. So it's some dark material, but there's a lot of banter in it. and his art style is actually working out very well for it. I'm pleased. And the first few pages of it are already on our website, so you can go take a look at it. It should be done by January as well. Next up is No Earth Observations #1. I'm doing the writing and the art on this one. And I'm doing this in a very, very manga style using a program called Kamipo. And the reason being because I can knock out a page in literally an hour. Kamipo is a posing comic book software that's designed for doing quick manga. And the scenes I'm doing with it are not really what it's designed to do. It's designed to do school scenes and business scenes and sports scenes. It's designed to do typical manga. And I'm using it for more of a single-page comedy strip. But it's not going to have a continuous story. It's going to have single-page strips that have some continuity and recurring characters. Think of it as a gag-a-day strip. Pride #1. Pride is probably not going to be done by January. Pride's been going for 2 years now, and we've got 4 pages out of it. I am back in contact with the artist, John Braddis. John is a talented graphics designer and this is his first comic, and it's something that is going to be a project that takes a while, and I'm okay with that because, frankly, the Shadow War #1 is taking a while, and I'm the artist on that, so I can't complain about anybody else's speed. And finally, we have Spellbound #1. Spellbound, the artwork is in layouts now. It's going to be very good. It is set in New Baltimore and is a procedural for a special crimes unit. And special crimes units on No Earth are police departments, special units that deal with magic, psionics, superpowers, that sort of thing. So that's the ones that we actually have in production right now. Now let's go to what we have in the script stages. We have Dead Planet undergoing a rewrite right now, and we have an artist for that, Daniel Marquez. Daniel's out of Florida, and he has a very Mobius style, and I will be doing the coloring and lettering on that. Daniel will be doing the artwork, and Sam Clevency is the writer. This is the second time that we've done Dead Planet. The first time the artist quit after 6 pages. So I'm hoping this time it goes all the way through. We just greenlit now the next set of scripts are all greenlit. In other words, we have approved the pitch, and so we're now in the scripting stage, and that means the writer is off pounding keyboards, playing with his hamsters, doing whatever he needs to do to turn out a script so that we can review the script. But on all of these, the pitches were approved because the pitches were good. So the first one is Shepherd Street, and Shepherd Street is set in the Confederacy, and it is set at a combination brothel bar. And the brothel is under the radar, so is the bar. But it's going to be dealing some with the Vigilante Underground, which means it's probably going to wind up tying into Johnny Reb at some point. And it might wind up dealing with the Jenner Underground as well, which means it'll tie into another one of our projects. But Shepherd Street looks like it's going to be almost a slice of life style comic. But it's a small story, and it's an intimate story, and I think it's going to wind up being almost an anthology style based on the pitch. I'm going to be keeping a good eye on it as it goes into script stage. Next one is Comeback, and Comeback is a registered superhero who wound up doing prison time for child endangerment for an underage sidekick. And he's now come out and he can't get his registration back. He can't get his certification back. So he's decided to go street level vigilante. And it's going to be an interesting ride because he's trying to put his life back together and decide what his life is now. That one's written by Jeff Schmalz, and we have Bo Christian on art for that. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to play with a lot of different tropes and such. I'll keep you updated as we get more information on it. Getting the Band Back Together is written by Danny Glisson, and the art is by, I'm going to butcher this name, I am so sorry, Bassam Kataz. Look, we are an internet comic book company. We get writers and artists from all over the world. That's one of the things I like about No Earth is we have a very, very diverse staff. And that's not because we went looking for a diverse staff, it's because they came to us. And so we have people from literally all over the globe. I've already mentioned Ireland. One of our artists is in Slovakia. One of our artists is in Nigeria. So I need pronunciation guides on some of these names. I don't want to butcher them. I don't want to disrespect people. But the Getting the Band Back Together is a group called the Band of Heroes, and they disbanded after Hell Night. And now, 20 years later, there are forces trying to get them back together. So it's going to be part comedy and part serious. We're not ever going to do a straight-up comedy comic in the No Earth universe because we don't want to detract from the other comics. But if you're a fan of, say, Justice League International under Keith Giffen, that's the level of humor we're looking at. We're not going Tick on this. We're going Justice League International. Next on the list is Gener 8. And Gener 8 is, we don't have an artist for it yet, but we also don't have an artist for Shepherd Street. If you're an artist looking for a comic to draw, talk to us. Gener 8 is set in the Confederacy, and it's a group of geners, genetic constructs, animal-human hybrids that work for the Confederate government, and part of them decide to go rogue. And it's going to be... There's a lot that I'm hoping to see out of this one. Next down is Templars 3. And the Templars 3 is written by Bethany, who's on our editorial board. And she's turned in a Three Musketeers homage that is set in the Vatican. And basically it goes under the concept that the Swiss Guard are the modern-day Templars. And they've been hiding this ever since the Templars were disbanded back in the 1300s. And they provide the church's first defense and offense against supernatural forces. So think of them as a group of holy paladin commandos. And toss in the Three Musketeers on top of that. And that's basically the mix that we have approved right now. We've still got another half dozen pitches that we're working. But that's the main things that we've got coming. So I'm going to be talking about all of these projects more in depth as time goes on. But I just wanted to run those down and let you see what's going on. If you've got any comments, please leave them. I'll be in addition to YouTube, we post this on Facebook, so feel free to comment on Facebook as well. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you very much, and we're going to talk again.